One. So Todd Carroll, Los Angeles, acting, actor and business service manager. And
Yeah.
And of course, just come to find out, you're based in LA. So we had like a time difference, almost had a time difference snafu, but we solved it. We fixed it. Everything's great. So Todd Carroll, actor and based in LA. So tell me a little bit about yourself, what you do, and what you've been up to.
Well, let me see what I've been up to. I've been acting since I was very young. I used to do skits and stuff, and plays in elementary school, and took dramatic arts in high school and all that. But I didn't really pursue my acting on a professional level until quite late, until my mid-30s, and that's when I moved from Ottawa, Canada, to Vancouver, Canada. I spent 10 years there training. I had an acting studio where I had 5 different coaches. I had a singing coach, and I ran that studio for about 5 years, and just got tired of paycheck to paycheck, and it was great. It was fun, but I wasn't making any money at it.
Yeah.
So I decided I might as well just, put a little bit more work on my own career. But singing has always been a passion for me as well. So I ended up fronting several classic rock bands for several years after that. Had a fairly successful one called 8 Count. We were booked solid for the 2 years we were together. We were booked solid. It was really great.
That's awesome.
And then I ended up connecting with an old flame, which brought me out to Texas, El Paso, Texas. And I ended up opening up an acting studio there called El Paso Acting Studio, because there was a lot of people there actually that want to do acting, but there was, at the time, there was really, I had almost no competition at all. I think there's one other guy teaching, and that was it. So I did that for 7 years, and when we decided to part ways, my ex and I woke up one day and went, "What am I doing in Texas?" And decided to come to LA in 2015, and I've been working as a full-time actor for the last probably 3 or close to 4. No, it'll be like 4 years now.
Okay.
So I feel very blessed to be able, and I say that because I know there's a lot of actors out there that would go, "Oh my God, to be able to do that full time." I mean, it's a blessing. It really is, to be able to, I get up in the morning, I make my tea, and I get on my computer and I start submitting.
Yeah.
To be able to do that is pretty cool.
So you're self-managed.
Yeah. No, I have a manager here in LA. I have an agent here in LA, and I have an agent in Canada, in Vancouver.
Okay.
But yeah, I self-submit as well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I get most of my own work.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I've been like reaching out and trying, get a hold of, maybe some agents that would, take me on, or some sort of talent management. I had a manager for a little while, and then they relocated their offices and they switched over a bunch of stuff. But I mean, yeah, like I'm in the DC area, but there's quite a bit of work out here as well. And I'm just I was self-submitting. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. I think you should always be.
Yeah.
Myself personally, you should always. I mean, I hope I get to the point where I don't have to. That would be wonderful.
Absolutely.
That would be wonderful, to not have to wake up, do my day, and the phone rings and goes, "Oh, are you interested in such and such?" Yeah. Send me the script. Let me think about it. I'm okay. I'm waiting for that opportunity.
That's that nirvana that we're all hoping for.
Yeah.
I can't agree with you more. So, well, how would you say you've been impacted for say the last 6 months, the whole quarantine, shelter in place?
It's been crazy. the industry here is still, they say it's opening up, but man, I don't really see it. And I mean, there's a lot of commercials and stuff, and I wish I was a commercial guy, but I've done a couple throughout my 20 plus years, but not many. And I just don't think I have that commercial look. There's always some guy who's in better shape than me, looks younger, more handsome, and it's like, I just saved my gas now. And
Hey, yeah, yeah. There's always a younger, fitter guy,
yeah,
And,
my passion is film, and that. So that's kind of what I lean towards: episodics and film work. But yeah, I mean, if GM wants to get me on a national commercial, I'm not going to say no. That's for sure.
absolutely, yeah.
But I think you've got to play where your strengths are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Gemini, if that means anything to you. But no, I have a lot of interests in my life. I have been interested in so many things throughout my life, and I've done so many different things. And as you start to get older, you start to realize life is short. Life is short, and you start to go, I better start focusing on what I really want, because if you concentrate on too many things, you'll have a great life. Don't get me wrong, but if you really have a passion that you want to reach, you better start searching for it and sticking to it. So my strengths, to me, I think, is dramatic and comedic acting. And so that's kind of what I put myself out for. It's tough though, man, because when I go on there now, there's not near as many things to submit for as there used to be before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And the majority of it is either not in my age range or it's not paying.
Right. Now, well, have you started looking into, voiceover work and
I haven't.
Well, I don't mean to cut you off, but like areas in which to, telework and I brought this up a number of times on my show, is that I built this studio I spent like the last 2 years building this studio because I knew I knew I was going to marry my girlfriend, and I knew she was going to want to have kids. So the bigger picture was like, how can I stay creative, productive, work from home? And
Right.
Of course I love set life. I mean, I live for set life, but really want to be hands-on with the kids, so I can do voiceover work. I can do, some green screen spokesperson kind of stuff. I can edit remotely. I can live stream. When this quarantine hit, it was kind of like, okay, let's start putting all that into works now. And so as far as like voiceover work,
I've done a few as far as submitting and that, but I haven't landed any, which I'm kind of surprised at, because I'm pretty good at using my voice for different sounds, being a singer and that.
Yeah.
Being able to sound differently, and relatively good with accents as well. So, but I think that's a whole new area.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like what I was saying, what do I want to concentrate on? And then I got to get a studio and a proper mic and proper gear. And so right now, just recently, probably in the last year, I finally got proper lighting for my self tapes, and I'm still waiting for my camera to come back from Canon. So the last few self tapes I've had to do on the phone, which I don't really like, but it is what it is. You do what you got to do. But yeah, it comes back down to what am I going to concentrate on? But have I thought about that? Absolutely, I have, and maybe in the future that's something I'll look into. Right now, it's paycheck to paycheck, buddy. You know,
Yeah,
it's
man.
the life of an actor. People think, oh, you're an actor, you must be rich, and they don't understand. There's two stages of acting. There's I like macaroni, and
Yeah.
I'm very rich. There
Yep.
doesn't seem to be anything in between.
Right.
You know, there's like it seems like I'm living paycheck to paycheck, or that's one of my favorite actors said, you don't get paid very well, and then all of a sudden you hit it, and it's like wow, and that was Gandolfini, who passed
Mm-hmm.
away a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember him saying that, it's like, it's like you're living on next to nothing, and then all of a sudden it's like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I mean, I mean, I'll disagree with you to a point. I do know that there's like, some of these character actors.
yeah,
I wouldn't say that it's necessarily paycheck to paycheck, but it's probably not like wow just yet.
right.
But these guys, and they're probably really smart with, okay, they know people know who he is.
Yeah,
He's always a supporting in this or supporting in that.
right,
Uh, it's
right. Yeah, it may not be millions and millions, but
right.
they're doing well.
Yeah, they're
They're
doing
doing well.
they're doing well, and then and they're kind of at that level where they can get slick with their deal memos or their contracts, or maybe kind of get semi slick with their back end deals, and because I think a lot of actors, that's what they're thinking right off the bat. I'm gonna make residuals off
Oh,
of merch,
absolutely,
like
absolutely.
Jack Nicholson ruined it for everybody off Batman when he was Joker, and he took a major pay cut and he took that merchandise residual. He was real slick, and now everyone's like, oh, gotta get on that. And I've been doing both crew and acting. I've been acting maybe 6 years, but I've been doing crew work for 15, and so many gigs I'm an AD or a production manager on, and I overhear some of these ultra independent projects, and
Uh-uh.
actors are asking for like not like the upfront numbers, but they're asking for like that kind of slick Jack Nicholson deal, like I want points or something, and producers are like, no, not at all, never gonna happen, like stuff like that. But I mean, that's kind of like the slickness. Once you get into like that middle area where you can kind of get slick and say, or I guess just simply being SAG, I think will kind of
That seems to be bizarre. I've taught for over 12 years. I've taught acting for over 12 years. And so what you said earlier really hit a point was, the amount, if I had a dime for every actor that, you know, person that woke up and said, I think I'll be an actor today,
right.
you know,
Yeah.
because it's so easy, right? And I'm kidding.
So, well,
I'm being facetious.
I mean, I'll touch upon my history in a second, but go
Yeah.
ahead.
So it's like, they take like 2-3 months of acting classes and they're out looking for an agent, and it just boggles my mind. And then in a year or 2 years, when they're not, uh, you know, getting the Jack Nicholson deals, they're all disillusioned.
Yeah.
And I think what people don't get is it's either in your blood or it's not. I mean, I personally don't want to be on this planet if I can't act and sing. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
And if you don't feel that way, then acting is not that's not your calling, man.
Yeah.
That's just not it. I mean, you've got to do. I mean, I've done everything humanly possible to put myself in a situation where I can do what I love on a full-time basis daily, and it's taken me a long time, but I never gave up.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's that aspect of it. I did the opposite. What most people do. Most people that I've seen, they got a couple months of acting, and then they go out and they're looking for an agent, and they're getting headshots, doing all that stuff. And I didn't have anyone to help me or take me under my wing to kind of learn the ropes. So it took me a lot longer than most people to kind of figure out, because I did it the opposite. I spent so many years learning the craft, and I didn't do anything about the business. I thought that's what an agent was for.
Right.
And even after I got an agent, it took me years after my first couple agents to get it. It's like, they're really not doing much for you. You're the one who's got to be your own agent.
Absolutely.
You really do. Even when you have an agent, you have to be your own agent. You have to be your own PR guy. Until you reach, as you were saying, that mid-level where you can afford a PR person, you're the PR person, man.
Yeah.
You're the one that's got to get out there. So, but anyhow, let's hear. I want to hear what you're going to say.
So yeah, so absolutely, and you were saying, you mentioned, and I agree with you. I know so many folks that are like, oh, let me get a walk-on part in your project, and I'm like, no, you're not an actor.
Yeah,
but, and I'm like, no, pass. Like, come on. But everybody thinks, it's just like, oh, jump in front of the camera and act and pretend, and there's way more technical things to that nature. Now, like I said, I've been doing crew for 15 years, but like and kind of touch upon what you said. I'm a Pisces, but at the same time, I've had so many different interests, and I kind of dabbled in them. And one was, at 31, I enlisted in the DC Army National Guard, which is, part-time military, 1 week in a month, 2 weeks in the summer. But, we went to basic training like everybody else, and MP school like everybody else. And I've brought this up on the show a number of times, but I did that at first, just to like get some world experience and travel and jot some notes down for, writing and directing something and so on. But,
nice.
but a couple of colleagues of mine that were crew jumped into acting, and to my knowledge, they might have just they started doing some extra work and then taking acting classes. But I thought to myself, I know where I know my skills. Like you said, I'm going to play to my strengths. Basically, military has been my acting school, so I'm just going to play that straight guy. When I say not sexual orientation wise, but I mean, I'm gonna play that straight guy as far as like that military, that old school term, the straight guy.
I know.
In the productions, the law enforcement or military role. I know where my strengths lie. I've been behind the camera. I know what a director's looking for. I know what the DP is looking for. I know what the sound guy's looking for, and all that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I never took any acting classes, traditional acting classes like you have, but, I've done plenty of research, YouTube and this, listening, inside the actor's studio. I watched pretty much every episode, kind of like a free education on that.
Yeah.
And as I wanted to jump onto acting, because as a full-time freelance creative artist, filmmaker, TV professional, film professional, I wanted to fill in the schedule. I wanted to get gigs, and I wanted to be on set. And so I said, listen, law enforcement, military roles. Being a technical guy, I knew how to work a camera. I took some simple, headshots of myself at first, and just pushed myself out as that straight guy, law enforcement, military character.
Yeah.
Started booking stuff, from extras to feature extra to supporting to a bunch of, supporting or lead. But I said, typecast the hell out of me. I don't care. Detective, major something, sergeant something, officer something, detective something. Typecast the hell out of me, because set life was the end all be all.
Right.
But like you said, you love what you're doing, and you're probably just like, I'm going to play to my strength, which is acting and singing. I love being on set. I love working on set. I'm good at acting. I'm good at a number of roles. I'm good at a bunch of different roles in the crew department.
Right.
I know where my strengths lie, and plus, experimentation and trial and error.
Yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, probably we've mentioned blessed, and we've mentioned love what you do. Probably every single episode of my podcast
Yeah.
is just like that's, and it's an age old saying, but if you love your work, you don't work a day in your life, you
Yeah.
know, and it's
Yeah.
just,
Exactly. That's exactly it.
yeah.
That's exactly it. And um, I think true happiness is doing something that you love. And I think, unfortunately, uh, too many people on this planet are not doing that. It's getting better, but if we go back to, say, um, my parents' generation, um, they were taught you get out of college or you get out of school, you get married, you find a job, you work hard for 30, 40 years, you
Yeah.
retire, and that's life. That's your life.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, back then it wasn't, well, I think I'll go into acting. It'd be like, don't be ridiculous. You want to get a real job, you know, um, or whatever it may be, whatever it is your interest was. If I want to be a photographer, I want to be a painter, an artist, whatever, um, they always said, no, well, that's fine, but you got to major in business, or you got to major in this, or you've got to, how are you going to support yourself? And the older generations were very much about that, which I get, and it's good, but what I noticed about that generation was a lot of them, when they retired, it was like they came to the realization that my a good chunk of my life's over.
Yeah.
And I still haven't, and what I was put here for is still living inside of me, and I've never been able to share it.
And to touch upon that, and I agree, to touch upon that, I've had a number of family members say, yeah, you got to take the smarter route, and you got to take the more guaranteed,
Yeah.
in their eyes, that old school guaranteed route. But at the same time, they idolized Pierce Brosnan and Morgan Freeman and Robert Redford and Tom Hanks,
Right,
and Meryl Streep and Charlize Theron and Faye Dunaway. They idolize, Harrison Ford, great people, genius people, fantastic filmmaker, Clint Eastwood, and
Harrison Ford was working on a set when he was pulled off, right?
Yeah, he was a carpenter on Star Wars.
Yeah.
And Lucas, was friends with him and said, "Hey, I need somebody to read lines with him." And so he auditioned with so many people, just rereading Harrison Ford's lines.
He did a movie before Star Wars, with Lucas, and it was his very first movie. Do you know what it was?
American Graffiti.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah.
I just watched that last week for the first time since I was a kid.
Yeah,
a great movie.
And I'm just now in the middle. So it's funny you mentioned old movies. I'm just now in the middle of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, talking about Jack Nicholson again.
My favorite by him. My favorite. By far his best work, in my opinion.
Well, me as a kid, by far, Joker is Batman. Just seeing and watching, and then hearing behind like the success, the triple, quadruple success stories on that. But
he was amazing as a Joker. A lot of people forget that.
And I just recently showed the wife The Shining. Oh. I think about a year ago I showed it to her, and she says, "No more horror movies with you," because I chose like the one horror movie. I mean, and not even really violent. There's a couple of scenes, but not even really violent. It's just true horror. Yeah,
I think that's what horror movies do not have today, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The slasher gut stuff. I don't even watch horror anymore because it's just. As a kid, I saw to give you an idea, when I was a kid, the movies that I saw as horror movies were shit like, it's not the Bates Motel with Psycho, the original Psycho.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that disturbed the shit out of me.
I bet.
You watch it now and, you can, things stand out more now. Plus, because I'm in the industry, right? And it's, some of the things a bit laughable. But you think about the year that was made, and it was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, you know, what Hitchcock did, you know, he was just so brilliant. And I heard, and I went through it frame by frame because I wanted to see for myself, and it is in fact true. The shower scene where the knife comes through, the knife never touches her body once.
I know. Yeah.
Not once.
Yeah.
But the way he did it in your mind, and the black and white and the blood going down the drain. I mean, to me, that was way more terrifying than, you know, somebody's nose hanging off their face and shit like that.
Yeah.
I saw the last half of what was it? It's one word. When you go somewhere and you can't afford a lot, you buy a room.
Vacancy.
Huh?
Is it Vacancy? No Vacancy?
No. It was just such a gory slasher movie, and I saw the last half of it and I went, why would somebody even make such a horrible movie? It's where you pay to go torture someone.
Oh, Hostel.
What a horrible effing movie, man.
Yeah.
What a sick, demented son of a bitch. And not only that, but why put that shit out there into the world, into people's brains? And maybe it's already going on. Who knows? I wouldn't surprise me if it was, because his planet is pretty dark, unfortunately. But I mean, to even put that out there, it's just, what kind of sick fucker? Pardon my language, but
no, it's fine.
You know, it's just like, it's really that's what you want to do with your talent.
I saw you talking about the first Hostel now because they made 3 of them, but
well, you've got to make more because it was, you know, such a great movie.
So I saw that in the theater, and it was pretty gory, and it was pretty, you know, like over the top, and I get that. Yeah. But I think, you know, filmmaking wise, and I'll disagree with you to an extent because it was pretty over the top, and it wasn't smart. I wouldn't say like the goriness and the over the topness isn't as smart as say Psycho or Shining or Blair Witch. You know, Blair Witch really stood out, and they found, you know, camera tricks, and they found
brilliant.
But
the best part of Blair Witch was their promotion of that movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And I got to tell you, the very ending of that movie, it freaked the shit out of me.
Yeah.
That was really well done.
Just one jump scare throughout the whole thing. I mean, like the little babies tapping on the tent, and like you could hear echoes off in the distance, and they really played with psychological stuff, just like Psycho, just like Shining.
Yeah.
But with a different medium. Like they started, you know, the whole found footage, the whole like found documentary footage type productions plot.
And the whole guerrilla style was quite new back then too, right?
Right. But now with Hostel, I saw it in the theater. I agree. It was a bit over the top, you know, and you can just say, you know, it's lazy filmmaking, and they're just, you know, it's just like shock value. But at the very, very end, the characters are put through hell, put through absolute hell. And the one guy got away, and spoiler alert, the one guy got away, and he sees the girl that set him up in the street. He's driving a car. He sees her in the middle of the street. He just happens to see the girl that set him up and got him, you know, kidnapped and put in that hostel. And the whole theater lost it. Kill that bitch. Kill her. It was like that was the moment. That was the Psycho moment. That was the Shining moment. It was the filmmakers put these characters through so much that they put the audience through so much. Oh my God, eyeballs and blood and guts and gold.
The eyeball hanging out.
I mean, it was like I couldn't agree with you more.
I didn't see the whole thing,
but when he saw that girl, and he's like revving the engine, and then they locked eyes, and he runs her over. Eruptions. You would have thought, you know, the Redskins won the Super Bowl.
Right.
Eruption in the theater. Yeah, got her. And then, you know, some more stuff, and then some more stuff. Oh, and then he found somebody else involved at the train station and got that son of a bitch too. But it was like filmmaking gore wise. Yeah, I mean, I can agree with you on that. But when that moment happened, it was like, you know, we won the Super Bowl type of eruption in this theater. It was one of those moments where just like the whole room is like locked in, like everybody.
I get it. I get it.
And so, you know, it's
I
moments
think
like,
it's a preference for me.
yeah.
I'd take suspense any day as horror over gore.
I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more. You know, like I definitely would prefer Shinings and Blair Witches and like smart, psychologically.
One movie I've never seen,
intense, yeah,
which has such a cult following, and I didn't realize that Renee Zellweger was in it, was the very first Chainsaw Massacre.
No, that's actually no.
So no, that's not Chainsaw Massacre. No,
It was the Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey were in the fourth Chainsaw Massacre.
That was they had 4. See, and I haven't seen any of them.
So
that just goes to show you, not like the Saw movies. Just what, 9 of those or something?
Yeah, almost. Yeah. So it's not surprising to me that you're confused about that. So okay, so in the 70s, Chainsaw Massacre 1 came out, and then in the 80s,
that had a cult following. Yes,
that was the original cult following. Huge,
right.
You know, what was his name? Toby Cooper, something like that. He also wrote and directed Poltergeist with Spielberg.
Right.
But
that was a great movie when that came out.
But Toby's big breakout film was the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Right.
And then they did
the 4th one Renee Zellweger was in and Matthew McConaughey?
So it's so confusing. So
yeah.
So
I remember I just saw it last night and I went, she was in that? I said, I gotta watch that. I did.
Yeah. Well, then they did Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and Dennis Hopper was in it, and I think it was in '83.
Love Dennis Hopper.
And that's definitely one to check out because it's a bit over the top.
Right.
But it's just like it's got this fine line between 80s crap horror and then like this cult following too. Like it's one of my favorites.
The second one?
That's the second one.
Yeah.
And then Dennis Hopper's in that one. Then they did a third one, Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
I've heard of that one.
I don't remember it. But then they wanted to reboot the series.
Right.
They wanted to reboot the series. They had McConaughey as the original character. It was supposed to be a reboot, so it was supposed to be like a remake of part 1.
Right.
They changed up some stuff and they set it in the 90s. Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey were in it. It was so bad that they made it like a part 4.
No kidding.
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation.
Right.
It was supposed to be a reboot or a remake.
Right.
It was so bad they made it like a B-level straight to tape part 4.
It was really bad, was it? No kidding.
It was kind of bad. It wasn't. It's one of the I like horror. I'm kind of a horror fan to where even if it's like B-level bad, it's not terrible to me. I kind of just enjoy like this madness, this escape in this madness and like lunacy. I like to see what poor folks are trying to do on film, you know?
Right.
I love independent filmmaking. I love
me too.
Looking at these production hacks. You know, Blair Witch is the ultimate production hack.
Oh yeah.
Found and Psycho, you know, Hitchcock could have made it color. He decided to keep it black and white because to hell with fake blood, just use chocolate syrup. We'll save so much money. You know, just chocolate syrup.
That's not why he did it though.
And then I know there's other stylized reasons.
Right.
But yeah, and so, you know, when I see like these B movies like Wrong Turn, Hostel, you know, Hostel is basically a B movie that was that other people thought was so good.
Yeah,
it was theater worthy, you know.
Yeah. Wow.
And
what was that other one? And I just found out recently there was like 3 or 4 movies. Is Sharknado?
Oh my God! So Sharknado,
they 3 or 4.
I think they're up to 5 now, 5 or 6.
Like, I'm sorry, man, but what kind of intelligence do you have to even go see the first one? But I'm sorry, I hear that title.
That's the beauty.
And I go, I'm saving my money.
But that's the beauty of filmmaking. Is like
it just
you don't have to like it. but it's such an escape. It's such
I
a
do have
stupid.
to like it because it's 2 hours of my fucking life.
But you don't. But there's a whole bunch of other people that just want to
Oh
like
my.
escape.
That's like Snakes on Planes.
Listen,
Never
you do.
watched it. Never
We,
will. I just I just need to hear the title. I'm
yeah.
not interested. It's
Well,
garbage.
well, to you it is. But see,
Yeah.
we do it for a living. But
Yeah.
you got the people that chose selling cars. You got the people that chose to be a cop or a firefighter. And when they want to go home, they don't want to watch, like they don't want to watch the dramatics. They don't want to watch true life movies. They don't want to watch,
Yeah.
serious character studies.
Sure. So watch a good comedy.
Sharknado.
Or even watch a decent horror movie.
The Sharknado's a comedy.
I believe it. I believe it's gotta be.
It's bad. They know what they're doing. The movie knows what it's doing. The movie knows it's bad.
It has to. If it has 4 of them,
the title Sharknado.
It had to have done. I mean, they had to have done something right to have 4, and keep
6.
going. And the thing that's so ironic is, I'm a huge car buff and motorcycle buff, like classics and antiques, right? Huge. That's a huge passion of mine. I was a mechanic before turning to acting for many, many years back in Canada. And that series is still going. What's the one with Van Diesel? Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw one of them. I liked it. It was fun to just kind of lose your mind. Like you say, just sit back and not have to think and enjoy it. But after I've seen one, I don't need to see 7 more. I just don't. I just don't. Yeah. I just don't. It's like, yeah. But anyhow, they've done very well. I mean, they're on Fast and Furious 9 or something now?
Yeah, Fast 9's coming out pretty soon. Yeah. And plus they got spin-offs. They had a spin-off movie, Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah. So I mean, he's way richer than me. Right? But I've got to be honest with you. I don't want to do 9. If I had a hit movie or something and they want to do, a second one, okay. But then when it starts going into, well, let's do a third and a fourth, I'm sorry. As an artist, I'm saying, yeah, I'm not interested.
I can agree. I can agree to an extent, but at the same time, it's like, if it's good and if I like it, if I personally like watching it, I'll do 10 of them. I'll do 20 of them. It's like, because at the end of the day, I'm still working on a film. I'm still working on a successful film franchise. I love working on film. Yeah. Of course I want to branch out.
I'm a character actor, so I need to fill my soul a little bit more than that, I think. Okay. But that's what I say now, right? If somebody says, well, look, we're going to give you 10 million to do a third one. Yeah, they might be able to talk me into it. But I mean, if I've made 10 million on the first and the second one, how much money do I really need to be comfortable?
Yeah.
And really, that's all it is for me. I just want to have enough money where I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't need to buy a building. I don't need to buy a plane. I don't need to buy my own private island. I don't need any of that. If I was ever in that point where I had that kind of money, it would go to charity. It would go to feeding children, in the United States and Africa.
Yeah, and I like that mentality, because I'm just wondering, like, with so much going on in this world, and there's all these people that are having their own reality shows, all these rich, famous, like the Kardashians, and especially the Kardashians.
See me on a reality show ever.
Well, but how much money do they have? And I'm not saying, like, I'm not going to be this fascist and say, like, they have to donate.
Right.
But, like, if they have so much money and there's so many other problems, like, what do they do with that money? Like,
yeah.
Once you get to like $1 billion, like, what are you holding on to that for? And what do you?
I mean, like the Kardashians, when they have a birthday, right? They buy each other like $80,000 cars with a bow on it, And to me, that's, I don't know. I just find that like, is that really what you've got to do to show that you love someone and you care about them? I mean, come on, could that 80,000? Did they really need a new car?
Do you really?
Was their old one not working?
Exactly. But like you could take, I mean, $1 million could help out a shitload of families.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
see, this is the thing about lotteries that bother me. When the lotteries get up to like, 30, $40 million, right? It's like, why give that to one person that is, and if that one person wins it, the odds are the person who wins it has never had that kind of money before in their life.
Yeah.
So why ruin their life? Because $40 million ruins most people's lives that have never had that kind of money.
Yeah.
To me, if you've got a lottery that's run up to $40-50 million, why not have 50 different winners?
Right. Yeah.
Because $1 million wouldn't, in LA, $1 million you could buy a nice house and maybe, a new car and you're done.
But like even more so, like you said, like a $200,000 car.
Yeah.
Like you're not benefiting anybody. Or if it's just like somebody needs to get the newest model of that car every year. Well, I've got a 2020. I got to get the 2021 before 2020. Like,
yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
What's wrong with the 2019?
Yeah.
And
what's wrong with my 68 Cutlass?
I just think it's almost like a slap in the face of those who are struggling. And I think, I think it's just this. I think it's just low. It's just a low class thing, to like ridiculously big houses.
Yeah. And it's like, it's interesting because, I say now and who knows, like maybe you'll change. Maybe you'll get sucked into it. I don't think I would though. The older I get, the less footage I want to live in and the bigger I want my garage to be. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of which, what would you say is what would you say is next on the agenda for Todd Carroll? What next set of goals for say the next 6 months to a year?
It's interesting, because my goal before the pandemic was to get my SAG no matter what happens, no matter how I get it, even if I have to do extra work again. I despise extra work, but I just don't like it, but that's me. But hey, if I got to do it to get a SAG, fine. I should have had it years ago, but again, I wasn't doing the business side of it, and I lost out. I didn't clue into how to get it and vouchers and all that stuff. So by the time I clued into it, I look at these old things I've done, which I could have gotten vouchers on, and they're too old now.
Yeah,
I can't get them now. So I still need to get a couple more vouchers to get that. That's, to me, I think is where my next level I got to do. But I've also come into a new, I don't know if it's new. It's kind of an old way I thought back in my mid to late 30s, and kind of fell out of it for a while because life happened. And that is, I'm going to continue pursuing my passion and my love, but it's not that I'm not gonna work hard. I'm not gonna work as hard at it.
Right.
And I know that sounds kind of funny, but I think sometimes when you work too hard towards something, you actually start pushing it away.
I agree. Yeah.
I I think there has to come to a point where what's meant for me is going to come easily. And I don't mean not putting effort into it and working towards my goals. I just mean more serendipity.
Mm-hmm.
If it's meant to be for me, it's going to come to me. And believing it. And I think that's the big part, is believing it. I think our minds are very powerful and we don't use them properly. At least I don't.
No, but I agree. I agree. You know, there were gigs that fell through. It was supposed to be, you know, big money.
Yeah.
And these gigs fell through. And at the time, you know, she was a girlfriend, or she was my fiance, now my wife.
Uh-huh.
We were just like, what the hell, man? I gotta go. And then it's like, bring.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
And it was just as good. It was just as good, if not better. It was just as good money, maybe not as good money, but something I wanted to do more. And then, you know, that schedule still stay filled.
Trust the process.
Yeah.
Yeah. If something was canceled or something didn't happen, or, you know, like I was waiting in the wings. I did a callback through the pandemic. So you asked about that, like how we're doing it right now. And I had to set up my lighting and the Zoom and everything. And I did a really good job. You know when you do a good audition, and it was a callback too. Like, so obviously I did well on the first one. So if you do well on the first one, don't change anything. If you've got a callback, that's not the time to experiment.
What did I do?
Just for people out there.
What the hell did I do to get it? Oh, you know, like, well, for me, there's been days where it was like gig, audition, gig, audition, couple of auditions in one day, and then like I get a call back 2 weeks later, like, you get a call back for that plumber thing, and I'm like, what plumber thing? Well, what the hell did I do?
The good thing now, though, Glenn, is that right now it's 100% of auditions are self-tape.
Right now, right? So just go back to that video, yeah.
But before the pandemic, we were still, or at least I was still, at probably 80 to 90% of my auditions were self-tape still, even before the pandemic.
Yep.
So the good thing about that, because what you just said is so true. It's like, shit, what did I do? You know, I remember the script, but I don't remember what I did. But I save all my self-tapes to a point. And then after like 3 months or 4 months, I'll unload some, and then you gotta and I can go back and I can. And I've had someone ask for my self-tape again, like 4 or 5, almost 6 months later, because their production was stopped. Hey, can you do this self-tape for us again? I'm like, sure, I can do it again. Boom. I still have it. I just sent it to you. So,
and it also depends on how they want me to send it to them. You know, if some people wanted it sent to them as unlisted YouTube, then I'm never going to delete it off the unlisted YouTube.
Right.
But you know, like, depends. Yeah, I don't start deleting the hard copies off my hard drive, say like 3 to 4 months.
I hate when they want you to put auditions up on YouTube. That irks me. I don't. It's just me. It's just that.
Why?
Because I feel a self-tape audition should be between me and the casting director.
Yeah.
I put a self-tape audition I did up on YouTube years ago when I'd first gotten to Texas for In Plain Sight. And I got shit for it. So I've never done it since.
But did you make it public?
I probably did. Again, not overly tech savvy.
Right. So you got a bunch of shit from just people seeing it and like, and dumping on it and making comments about it.
No, from the production, because I put it up on YouTube and I shouldn't have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So,
Because it hadn't aired yet. It hadn't aired yet.
okay. So I think what they want is they want, they want it to be unlisted. Yeah. Like there's different settings in YouTube, public, private, unlisted is semi-public where you can only see it with a link. Private,
Right.
nobody can see it but you. Yeah. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So I messed up, but hey, I was just happy I got it up.
Well,
I'm a little better. I'm a little bit more tech savvy now than I was back then, because that was fairly new still back then. Excuse me. That was like 2008 or 9 or something.
Right. Yeah.
Excuse me.
I don't think I was accepting self tapes all the way back then. I think what few gigs, what number of gigs I had, I was ADing on or producing or directing. I was doing in-person auditions.
I was driving. Here, listen to this. I was in El Paso, Texas. This is just to put into perspective my passion for acting for people that are thinking, about it. Is when I moved to Texas from Vancouver, Canada, my agent was in Albuquerque, New Mexico, because that was the closest city that had any type of real acting to where I was. The next one would have been probably Dallas. Anyhow, I would drive 4.5 hours to an audition in Albuquerque. You know how some auditions are. You're there 15 minutes, 10 minutes. Some you walk in, you do it, you turn around, you walk out the door. Your audition's 5 minutes. Get back in the car and drive 4.5 hours home.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to do that, then find another career.
Yeah. I've gone to New York. New York's about 4 hours from me. I've gone to New York a couple of times for an audition. I've gone to Richmond a number of times for an audition.
Virginia?
Richmond, Virginia. So, yeah. And I'm right outside DC. So Richmond could be anywhere between 2 to 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So I really have to look closely at the casting notice, and there's a whole shitload of factors. But
absolutely.
I'm a special case, because I can do crew work and I can do live stream and I can work from home and I can write, produce, direct. I can edit remotely.
Nice.
So there's a whole other slew of stuff I can do within film and TV.
Yeah.
It's not just acting for me. Right, so like I'm kind of like an unfair example to discuss.
There's more and more people like you out there, Glenn. There's so many independents in small cities that have nothing and they're just doing it. Yeah. Like El Paso, for instance. There's so many production companies there now. These very small production companies, guys that are doing their in-house commercials and stuff, and putting them up into film festivals, and they're just doing it. They're just good on them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. What's one last point or one last bit of advice you'd put out there to our viewers?
For
acting. We can start with acting.
Advice. Like they're already acting?
Or they're aspiring.
They are an actor? Sorry?
They are, or they're aspiring to be.
I think the best advice you can give anyone is if it's really in your heart, and you really have to ask yourself that. If it's really in your heart, then just don't give up. Because I would rather be on my deathbed saying, hey, I tried and didn't make it, than being on my deathbed saying, I wonder what if.
Right.
But yeah. I don't know if that's good advice. The other thing I wanted to say was, which is interesting, because we were talking before about, the older generations, having always, if you're going to do that, you better have a plan B. And my experience and what I've seen has always been your plan A hypothetically, your plan A is to be an actor. But plan B is to, I don't know. Give me an, well, what would the plan B be?
Realtor.
Good. Okay, to be a realtor. My experience from what I've seen in life from other people and myself personally, when I've had a plan B when I was younger, you know, to plan B was generally to put food on the table. But if you have a plan B, you'll always go to it.
Mm-hmm.
Your plan A will always be second, even though plan A is your desire. To me, if you really want something, there is no plan B.
Don't even make a plan B. You'll be so terrified of failing at plan A that you're going to succeed at plan A anyway.
Correct. You'll always default to plan B.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
You know, that's a lot of. I think that's something I would say. If it's really what you want, there shouldn't be a plan B.
I can't agree with you more. And I don't know if I brought it up this episode, but I've brought it up just about every other episode of my show, is that my plan B was still within film and TV.
Right.
My fallback, my other fallback, and my other fallback was live streaming, editing, voiceovers, audio production, audio editing, video editing, photography, cinematography.
I love all that stuff, and I wish I knew how to do it all.
Yeah.
But I look at it again, and I'm like, I've got a few years on you, Glenn. And I go, okay, what am I going to focus on here?
Right.
And the older you get as an actor, your window starts closing as far as characters, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, it's Clint Eastwood, as he got older, started directing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them, as they start getting older and the window starts getting smaller, they start falling back into other things. So we'll see. I like directing. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But again, it's my passion is in front of the camera.
Absolutely. Any socials, links, plugs you want to put out there?
Todd Carroll IMDb or toddcarroll.net. Yeah, that's about it. I've got a couple short films on the go, which I feel blessed to have coming up in October and November. And again, I just want this bloody pandemic over, like everybody else, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I want the industry back up there. I think we're going to be busy once this is over, and I can't wait for that. I'm ready.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm not doing anything until a vaccine. I'm not going back on set. I am now a certified COVID compliance officer. So I'm not flying, but I'll drive to a set. Right. I'll drive to New York or wherever, if it's decent, if the location's in decent driving distance, I'll drive and I'll work set as a CCO, but everything else, I'm holding off until a vaccine. It's just going to be all telework. And
I just thought of another really good piece of advice for actors right now is take this time that we have where we can't really work that much to work on your website. Or if you don't have a website, work on getting a website, building a website, work on your demo reels. If you don't have a demo reel, work on making one. Even if you have to write your own scene and hire someone to shoot it or whatever, make a demo. Take this opportunity to make a demo reel. Update everything you can. This is the time to do it. So when the pandemic is over, you're ready to go. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
There's a good piece of advice if somebody hasn't thought of it already, and take this opportunity to shut the TV off and read some books on acting, or watch things on acting. My personal favorite is the Meisner Technique. So if you can, I know there's some original footage of Sandy Meisner on YouTube. And it doesn't do it justice. You really have to live it and breathe it. But just a fantastic technique. If you can ever find anybody teaching the Meisner Technique, I highly recommend it.
Okay. So, well, I'll look into that as well because, I'm an out of work actor as well. So
yeah, What would be interesting is just go, what actors studied the Meisner technique and see who comes out.
I'm gonna guess Dustin Hoffman.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure
okay.
off the top of my head, but there's so many actors that, oh wow, you know. But and then there's a lot of actors that went through what is it? Is it Pace University that does the actors? What you mentioned it earlier.
The actor studios at
Yeah, which is more method based.
yeah. I forget what studio that what
I think
institution.
it's Pace University, I believe. But the method versus Meisner and yeah, you go learn the history of that.
Okay.
That's what I would say. It's very interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's great stuff to pull from both, but for me personally, Meisner just kicked the doors wide open for me.
Meisner. All right. Awesome. Yeah. Well, Todd Carroll, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. Learned a lot. Great stories.
And it was fun. I'm awake now.
Yeah, Pacific versus Eastern.
I'm real sorry, dude.
No, that's my fault. I really gotta I gotta make that like a box to check. Like, also just to let you know, I'm on Eastern. Those are the times we give so. No, I apologize. I should have triple checked that. I'm sorry about that.
I should have thought of it myself, but for some reason I thought you were in LA. So, but it's all good. Great to meet you, even though it's virtually, and glad you're in my LinkedIn group, and hopefully we'll work together someday.
Absolutely, definitely want to collaborate with you, and some of the other guests I had on there are definitely we all have to collaborate. Once these floodgates open, we got to jump on something and make some great stuff.
Sounds awesome.
Well, again, Todd, can't thank you enough. To my viewers, I hope I've earned the privilege of your time and viewership. I know my guest has. And until next time, you know what to do.